We are joined by Mohd Ilyas. Mohammed is the managing director of Biztel, which is like business hotels. But additional to that, Mr. Ilyas is very much involved with the whole lot of other sectors in tourism in Malaysia. He was recently selected to be president of Malaysian Association of Hotels. He's a professor of tourism and hospitality. And he is Secretary General of ASEAN Travel Association, otherwise known as ASEANTA, and a host of other positions and involvements. But let's first start by talking about Biztel and the group of hotels that you operate, the Palma Group of Hotels. Could you tell us what that is and what kind of hotels they are?
Basically, the Palma Group of Hotels are a business class hotel catering to the middle market. Way back when I set up this outfit, I knew the growth potential of the mid-layer hotels. And then predominantly these categories of hotels were not well kept. Hence, we introduced this the Palma brand, which is no luxuries, nothing. We offer basic amenities, clean rooms, clean bathrooms, comfortable meeting areas, catering for business people, as well as leisure and family alike. So currently today, we operate 4 of those hotels, and 2 of them currently are undergoing extensions, with an additional ballroom in one of the properties, which is within the factory neighborhood. We're putting a ballroom that can sit to 1,000 conference. And then in another location, which is more for meeting and also leisure market, we're putting another ballroom there, plus additional room that can cater for, the ballroom can cater for almost 500 people. There was a bit of a boom in this need of this kind of a capacity in those areas.
Are they all called the Palma Hotel?
All of them are trading under the brand of the Palma Hotel.
And these two hotels you just were talking about, where the large conference facilities are being added, what are the number of rooms they have?
Okay, the first one that I talked about was only 115 rooms at the moment. We plan also to put up additional rooms. However, the demand for meetings, which is non-residential, banqueting, because we are located in factories. Factories carry personnel to the tune of 500, 1,000 people. So periodically there are dinners, there are do's and so forth, which requires, again, not necessarily everyone can do banquets and events in a 5-star hotel. So the mid-layers again, that's why I call myself, it's a cross between a 3 and a 4-star. So we call it business hotel.
Obviously, you're serving the domestic market, and I presume the intra-Asia market. How much beyond intra-Asia market?
Now, within the group, we have also the bigger ones in Ampang, which is very close to the KL, the Petronas Towers, so 10 minutes away from there. So the group, you are right, we're catering predominantly to the Malaysian market, domestic, but we carry something like 30% of regional market, very much Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and of course I also do some China market. Now, during the Middle Eastern holiday seasons, we do cater also for the Middle Eastern market families.
Food outlets are offered?
Plenty. All restaurants, all hotels carry restaurants, banquet, bars, like any other hotels. Only difference is we offer a more affordable prices, which is not hurting the pocket. So in this instance, how we design this is, it is still most appropriate and suitable for people of a higher ranking. At the same time, if the families or individuals were to come and entertain, it will not hurt their personal pocket too if they are doing this as an out-of-pocket expense. So we have a lot of repeat customers, and I see the potential in this in the future.
turning the subject now more to the hotel hospitality industry in general in Malaysia and your role as president of the Malaysia Hotel Association. First off, how many members are in the association?
We carry 450 members, 450 hotels. Each member is a hotel, and that represents something like 60% of the total inventory of the rooms in Malaysia. Why is that? Because some of the five-star hotels, for example, 90% of them are our members. So they carry larger inventory of rooms from the total pool of 1,000 odd hotels in the country. So we have about 60% of them.
And yesterday I met the gentleman who's the president of the fairly young Budget Hotel Association of Malaysia. So that is a separate group than your association. And obviously you running business hotels, that's within the framework of Malaysia Hotel Association.
Yes, correct. Although there is a category which is carrying only budget hotels, the Malaysian Association of Hotels also do have some members who are dual membership, i.e. they are also sitting on the budget hotel. At the same time, they are also our members, because we have an entry requirement. As long as you have 10 rooms and above, you may join us. We may accept you as a member. But however, a larger portion of our membership is of 3, 4, 5 stars.
So the Airasia new budget hotel group are members?
No, I do not know whether they are. They're not our member yet. If they are, we welcome them. But if they are already in the budget hotel, I wouldn't know that.
What are the issues that face your members nowadays?
I think the biggest challenge of the industry at large is the yield on the rates that we are facing in Malaysia. If you look, we're sitting in this hotel. I think the hardware is first class, the facilities are first class, but you are paying only a fraction of the rates that commands this kind of value in other parts of the world. You know? We are now trying very hard over the last 2 years, trying to raise the level of a 5-star hotel rate to be at least of a US $80. We have achieved maybe about 10 or a dozen hotels that have gone slightly beyond that at the moment. That is a long and a hard effort to do and to bring up that.
I'm smiling because I was here earlier this year and a friend told me that the target was $100 a night. You're saying 80.
The first benchmark was 80, and we hope we can rise gradually, because this is a known fact that within the industry, even to benchmark at 80 is a start. There is no magic figure, but just we thought we just push up slightly or gentle, because the product is definitely value for money.
It's an issue of supply and demand?
To some degree, and of course there is a market perception that Malaysia is offering very, very low rates as such. To change that, because we have contracts, prevailing contracts with agents, corporate companies and so forth, there is a little bit of a fear. But I feel very strongly that if you want to move forward, we wake up one morning, push up the rates. In the end, let's say we lose some 10, 15% of the business by standards. It is quite normal that one move like that may create a bit of a disruption in the market. But eventually will settle off. What you lose, you will make up in the yield. Subsequently, the quality of service may increase with a better yield.
So that requires not legislation, but the buy-in of the private sector?
We don't want legislation. We want to maintain a free market situation. Because once this is legislated, it's very difficult for the business people to move. We prefer to be like this. And within the association, we're rallying support.
Beyond that, I was speaking to one of the dean of one of your major hospitality schools, and he was telling us that at the management level, he thinks that they're graduating sufficient number of people. But what do you see as, if any, challenges of having sufficient workers in general for hotels and restaurants in Malaysia?
Okay, currently this is one of the bigger challenges, the human resources in the industry, the quality of service that we can put, and the availability of people who are interested in this particular industry is really dropping. Whilst the school may be producing the numbers, but one must understand this, and from the industry we keep this to our heart. I've been in this game for the last 35 years. The people that go to the hotel schools is because they do not have any other faculty to join. This is the last choice. If they don't come in here, they do not get a diploma at the entry level. Now, safely, 60-70% of these guys do not come back and work in the industry. So they just fizzle off.
Right, I hear that pretty much across the rest of the world.
So what we're trying to do now is trying to influence the educators. Over the last 6 months, the education fraternity has been coming and working closely. In the past, there was a bit of isolation. The industry work on their own, the educators work on their own. Today, many of us are already adjunct fellow and being invited to look at the syllabus, review how can we accelerate the courses. We can do short courses to enhance the shortfall. Because again, the requirements of the industry is also peculiar. We don't look specifically whether you have a degree or what as a first requirement. If somebody has got a skill, I mean, technically speaking, that's what we need first. And the other thing is they must have service-minded, and the service with the heart. That is the prerequisite. Of course, I do not deny that education is indeed important. It can move the person towards a higher position faster, because what you need is this intelligence to move forward.
Well, we hear often that the government, private sector, and the educational community need to work together to tackle the challenges with human resource. But more than often, that's hope and something that doesn't actually work out that way. Are there any reasons you believe that that may be working out here in Malaysia in the near future?
I totally agree with you, because we are two sets of people. Our group is having a different sets of objective. They are having a different set of objective. Ultimately, producing something for the industry. My view is, if you are producing for the industry and the industry needs and requirements are not considered, because as far as I'm concerned, a school that produces a student that finish should be 80% ready to be supplied to the industry, with a 20% cosmetic touch-up to suit the requirements of each individual organization. Yes, it is a long shot, but I think we have to address this, because if not, the industry is growing. I am now engaging in discussions with the government to look at some strategic planning as to how we can take care. Because the human resources in Malaysia specifically, we are now beginning to depend on foreign labours. And we just received approval that we can take in up to 50 people from each hotel from foreign countries, because there is an acute shortage of personnel. Such a stuff.
Hope you have the time, because seeing your other roles, ASEAN Travel Association. Now, is that the group that most recently, in recent years, have the Air Pass, Hotel Pass, etc.? What's the evaluation on how that program is? It's been a number of years now since it was designed and implemented. Of course, in this world of e-commerce, things change very fast.
Very true, but was we cannot rave about the success of this visit ASEAN Pass, but there need to be such an arrangement in place because you see, whether we like it or not, ASEAN is a cluster. If you're coming from a long haul somewhere, you drop into any of the ASEAN points, it is the best opportunity to capture these people and hook them off to another 1, 2 more cities because you're traveling already 10, 12 hours from Europe or continental US. So we don't take advantage of this. I think there is a bit of lacking in promotion and visibility, awareness. A bit more marketing energy has to be injected into this. But of course, you will understand that when we are working with one country, we are already facing a lot of difficulties. Trying to put 10 countries together to agree, 10 airlines, 10 hotel associations, and 10 government organizations, the visas and whatnot, There are some rough ends to be polished.
Well, the ASEAN Air Pass, just to take that for a moment, was designed actually before Airasia, the low-cost carrier, really proved itself to be successful. And when I looked at the per sector price, it was more expensive than what you would normally pay for a low-cost carrier sector price.
I agree, but on the other hand, with the low-cost carrier, the price is fluctuating. So depending on when you're booking, this is at least firm, feet on the ground, you will be able to get this air pass at this fixed price. So if you want to source on the net for the low cost, the options is like that always.
Lastly, what do you see your view of the challenges for ASEAN country travel? Do you feel the cooperation? Is there the cooperation everybody talks about that is desirable, or at the end of the day, there's a balance between competition and cooperation?
Well, I think we are 10 individual countries, 10 different products. Everyone is exotic in its own ways. Yes, you are right, there is friendly competition between us. But I think in the end of the day, after the last couple of years of my involvement within ASEANTA, there is more cohesive, more focus in terms of marketing the whole intra-ASEAN to start with, because that in itself is a business. There are mobility of travel within the ASEAN countries, the ease of travel via non-visa requirements within ASEAN, with the exception of Myanmar currently. And I think whilst it is still competing with each other, I would like to see that happen. I mean, it's a nice dream. But I think we're walking that milestone at the moment.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.